AFC Regional Agri-Food Webinar. We're excited to have you. The train today is currently in East Africa because this regional webinar started yesterday, and we kicked off with the West African region, where we looked at how we can build and scale successful and sustainable agribusinesses in West Africa. And today we're excited to, be hosting the regional webinar for the East African region. My name is Anne Obize. I am Communications Officer at African Food Changemakers. So permit me to say welcome to every one of you joining from different part of East Africa. I know in Swahili, we say karibuni sana. I want to say welcome. And then for those from the French-speaking aspect of East Africa, permit me to also say soyez la bienvenue. So you're welcome to AFC Africa Food Changemakers Regional Webinar. So I want you to quickly introduce yourself in the chat box. Tell us your name, your country, your business, and what is your expectation for today's webinar while I run you through the agenda for today. So today we would have our welcomes and introduction like we're currently doing. We're going to let you know briefly about African food change makers, and then we'll go over to our keynote speech where we have our keynote speaker who is already ready to share insights on the theme for today. Then we go briefly to have the program and impact feedback from African food chain makers. And then we'll delve into the panel session, and then we'll have our dry run, our drive for some of the programs that are currently open at African food chain makers. So once again, I say welcome. And just like I mentioned, kindly introduce yourself in the chat box, your name, your country, your agribusiness, and permit me to add one expectation you have from today's webinar that is happening at the East African region. So I want to see you put your details in the chat box. I can see people joining. So please kindly introduce yourself while I would acknowledge your introduction on the call. Briefly, the African Food Changemakers Agri-Food Webinar is our annual flagship event that brings together thought leaders, experts, influencers across the African agriculture landscape and also the food industry. And the aim of this webinar is to share, to discuss solutions, share insights, and foster collaboration to address the challenges and opportunities within the agri sector, especially on the continent. So today we will be focusing on the East African region, and the theme is building and scaling successful and sustainable agribusinesses in East Africa. So that is why we are here, and we're expecting to learn, we're expecting to network, and also see how to forge collaboration. So let me quickly run into the chat box and to see who is introducing themselves. Okay, I see Delito. Delito is one of our panelists. We're excited to have you here. He's executive coordinator. And what country are you joining from? Let us know what country you are representing. Are you joining from Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, whatever part of East Africa you're joining? Please type in the chat box so we can know the region or the country you're representing. I see Mr. Daniel. He's joining from Nairobi. I see Clive. Is the CEO and founder of Echo Doodle Ranch, and she's joining from Kenya, Nairobi. Thank you so much. Audrey is US-based Beyond Capital Venture. Thank you for joining. And everyone, so let's keep the introduction coming. I see Nigel. Nigel is joining from Kenya. I think we have a lot of Kenyans. And also do well to share this link to other agripreneurs you have in your sector who is not yet part of this webinar. Share the link with them. Tell them to sign up quickly, that there's something amazing going on that would benefit those in the East African region. Okay, so right now I would pass the virtual mic to our programs manager at African Food Changemakers, who will be introducing who we are at African Food Changemakers and what you stand to get, knowing African Food Changemakers. And then she would also go ahead to introduce the keynote speaker for today's session. Let's keep the introduction coming. And while the introduction is ongoing, please, with a virtual round of applause in the chat box, let's make welcome the programs manager for African Food Changemakers, Ruth Egbe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne, for that vibrant introduction as usual. As we say, E for energy. Good day, everyone. We want to feel the energy on the chat box. So please keep the energy coming. We are thrilled to welcome you to this webinar series hosted by the African Food Changemakers. So you would ask, who are we at Africa Food Changemakers? We are a team of changemakers. We're a team of enablers committed to nourishing Africa and reshaping global narratives. So at AFC, we understand that small and medium-scale enterprises are the lifeblood of the food ecosystem. So that is why our primary focus is to empower the visionary, dynamic, and innovative entrepreneurs like you who play diverse roles across the agri-food value chain. Entrepreneurs that we call change makers. So if you're here on this call, we call you or we see you as a change maker. Faced with diverse challenges and risks, both socioeconomically and environmentally, change makers need funding, they need training, they need visibility, they need market linkages, and a community of support to successfully scale their businesses. That is where we come in. So our mission in Africa Food Change Makers is to start and scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that nourish Africa and the world by providing essential support in the form of training, in the form of funding opportunities, in the form of exposure, trade linkages, and access to a vibrant community of change makers. What is our vision? Our vision is to see 1 million successful and sustainable African agribusinesses that are transforming the food ecosystem and are recognized and respected across the globe. So whether you're a primary producer, an aggregator, a processor, or a distributor, an input or equipment provider, we have got you covered. Even if you're a logistic and finance expert, a technology innovator, an agribusiness consultant, a stomach infrastructure consultant, also known as chefs or cooks, we have got you covered. So no matter where you are or who you are across the continent and within the agri-food value chain, if we are committed to fostering the growth, your resilience, and the sustainability of your agri-food business. So how do we do this? We have a couple of things that we do. Please move the slide. So how do we do this? We have a community that provides a platform for African agri-food entrepreneurs to partner with one another to develop collaborative models and engage in peer-to-peer support. So we also do learnings and trainings. We offer tailored and relevant training programs and convenings for agri-food entrepreneurs across Africa. We partner with relevant organizations to build resilient, sustainable, and successful green businesses with regional and global impact and relevance. Another thing that we give to our community members or anyone connected with us is data and opportunities. At the AFC Hub provides a digital one-stop shop where agri-food entrepreneurs and stakeholders in the sector can access critical data, funding opportunities, partnerships, industry events, trade, information, and other resources. We do not stop there. At AFC, we also provide our members visibility and recognition. Through strategic partnerships, AFC provides market linkage support for export-ready agri-food entrepreneurs to trade locally and internationally and showcase their food products on global platforms. We also engage in creative storytelling and actively promote awareness about Africa's contribution to the global food ecosystem, its culinary heritage, and exciting future. So with all this, we firmly believe that enabling change makers like you with all these resources, we can contribute significantly to the transformation of the African food landscape. So if you're a part of our community, thank you for being part of this exploration together on how we can make a lasting impact on the agri-food sector. If you're here to join us, don't miss a beat. This event is for you. So join us on this exciting journey as we delve into stories, insights, and strategies of these remarkable individuals who we have on our panel today who are shaping the future of food in Africa. So at this juncture, before we call the panelists, it's my pleasure to introduce our very second Agri-Food Webinar Series keynote speaker, Daniel Albert, who is the head of programs, International Livestock Research Institute. We also like to say that Daniel is a board member of Africa Food Changemakers. He has 20 years of experience in project, program, and production management in international development and commercial agriculture. Daniel began his career in horticulture, where for 12 years, he managed crop production on commercial farms in the United States, South America, and Africa. Since 2012, Daniel has worked in international development in Mozambique, Kenya, and Rwanda to ensure the robustness, replicability, quality, and timeliness of development projects and programs. His work has spanned various programmatic areas, including agriculture, nutrition, large-scale food fortification, innovation, and small and medium-sized enterprise, SME development. Before joining ILRI as head of program management, Daniel served as cluster lead supply chains for nutritious foods at the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain. Daniel holds a BSc in plant science from Cornell University and an MBA from TIAS School of Business and Society, Tilburg, the Netherlands. He has worked in the United States, Colombia, Kenya, Netherlands, and Mozambique, and has managed projects in Tanzania and Rwanda. He speaks English, Spanish, and Dutch, and converses in Portuguese and Swahili. He has lived and worked in South America and Africa for over 15 years. So please put a virtual hand together for our keynote speaker and our Africa Food Chainmaker board member, Daniel Albert.
Ruth and Anne, thank you very much. I hope you can see and hear me. Can you confirm?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Thanks very much for the warm introduction. I'll try to live up to that, to those accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for inviting me to join you today. I'm really pleased to be here. We live in a world these days that is changing, and it's changing more rapidly than ever before. Africa's population over the next several years will double to 2.5 billion people by 2050. If I'm alive by then, I'll be an old man, but many of you will still be in the prime of your lives. At that point, by 2050, 1 in 4 humans will be an African. Those 2.5 billion Africans, like all people, will need to eat. The food that they eat will either nourish them or make them sick. The food that they buy will either enrich the staff who work at some headquarters in some capital city in some other country, or it may empower the smallholders and business owners who are part of the communities that they feed. In 2050, the food that Africans share may be a source of connection and community, or it may cause conflict, further environmental degradation, and disease. We have 2 options. We can either determine whether we have a food system that will contribute positively to a better world, to improve nutrition, to better health, and to stronger communities, or we can opt for food systems that will further destroy our land, pollute the environment, endanger our health, and erode our communities. Whether the food systems become a force of good in the world or whether they become yet another source of division and conflict will not be decided by anything other than human actions, which will be decided by human choices. And those choices will be informed by human intention. Margaret Mead was an anthropologist. She provided us with a very memorable quote. Dr. Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." African Food Changemakers represents that small group of thoughtful and committed citizens who are united with a mission to change the world. By being here today, you're joining a committed group who are uniting to change the world, one element of the food system at a time. There's more conflict in the world today than there has been since the Second World War, which is to say that many of us have never seen a more conflicted world than the one we woke up to this morning. We are in the midst of a changing climate, a climate that's being changed by our own actions. We know that the changes will get worse before they get better. Our soils are degrading, our democracies are crumbling, and everything, especially the food we eat and the inputs we require to grow and transport that food, are getting more expensive. Against the backdrop of today's huge challenges, what is a mere individual to do? Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, who are the authors of the book Nudge, confirm that we are more likely to achieve our intentions if we tell others about them. In fact, even asking someone whether they plan to do something, like whether they plan to buy a new car, for example, can make them more likely to actually do that thing at some point in the future. Having intentions and sharing intentions are a critical first step to getting things done. African Food Changemakers is not only a hub for technical and financial support for those of you who are doing the important work of leading change in Africa's food systems. AFC is a community of practice and a community of intention where you, as citizens committed to changing the world, can gather to support and encourage each other in your commitment and in your actions that will make Africa's food systems fairer, more profitable, and more nourishing. Through BRACE, AFC's intensive capacity building program, you've helped agribusinesses to address climate impacts on their businesses by equipping them with insights on climate smart practices. AFC has utilized e-training and hybrid learning with peer collaboration, as well as practical applications that enhance adaptation strategies and tap into climate financing opportunities in agribusiness. In 2023, you trained over 500 participants across 8 African countries. 33% of your participants created new jobs. Awareness of climate policies and carbon markets surged. In 2024, BRACE will endeavor to train 2,500 agri-SMEs, prioritizing women and youth in East Africa and other regions. AFC's Scaling Export Program, or SEP, is focused on engaging an annual cohort of agri-food SMEs to build their capacity to export healthy, nutritious agri-food products from across Africa and to access international markets, specifically those in Europe and North America. SEP provides training, market exposure, trade linkages, and business support. Last year, the program onboarded 635 agripreneurs across 25 African countries, while leveraging a self-paced e-learning platform and interactive sessions with hands-on industry-led experts. Participants' healthy, nutritious, tasty products were exhibited last year at the 2023 Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Egypt. This year, SEP plans to train another 1,000 agri-SMEs. Through the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, or LOF, AFC empowers and celebrates exceptional women leaders in the African food and agriculture sector through a rigorous 6-month training, export mentorship, supportive network, and visibility opportunities to showcase their work and to serve as an inspiration for other women aspiring to get into the sector. Aligned with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, LOF empowered over 25 women in 2023, fostering visibility, media support, and business connections. Fellows actively engaged in industry events where they contributed valuable insights. In 2024, LOF aims to award fellowships to another 25 outstanding women agripreneurs who are leveraging the support of the fellowship alumni and other associations to build sustainable and inclusive food ecosystems, showcasing the diversity and brilliance of African women. To AFC and to everyone who's joined today's webinar, thank you for being here. Thank you for being committed citizens who are working thoughtfully to change the world. Thank you for your good intentions. Thank you for your vision of changing Africa's food systems for the better. And thank you for inviting me to join you. I wish you much success in your commitment, in your intentions, and in your actions. There's a big need ahead. After all, there are 2.5 billion Africans who stand to benefit from the fruits of your labor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for exploring and sharing a whole lot about what AFC has also done, contributing to building sustainable agribusinesses in East Africa and other African regions. Thank you so much. Right now, we want to highlight some of the impacts, although Mr. Daniel has talked about some of the impact, some of the programs. Some of you may be wondering, okay, what are those programs about and how has it impacted Africans? So we have some video testimonials of some participants of the program we have at I'll share a video, then we would look at video testimonials of some participants of the BASE program, as well as LAF program, and then the Scaling Export program. Okay. Confirm.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Denjuma Yakub, the CEO of Yakdan Agribusinesses Services. Actually, I'm delighted to be part of this program because having attended the virtual training, I was able to learn about the climate smart agriculture from module 1 to the last module for 6 weeks. Actually, I was impressed having this virtual session, and when I got the information concerning the study visit, it's made me to be happy to at least meet new people and collaborate to see how I will put my enterprise ahead. Actually, I'm a cassava processor. Today, I was able to see 4 new varieties released by ITA. In fact, I give glory to ITA based on these cassava varieties, and not leaving behind the AFC, that's African Food Chain Makers, who initiated this in connection to the BRACE, to brighten up my knowledge.
Okay, my name is Adoma Priska Ezimo. I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine. It has been amazing so far. Coming in contact with the African Food Chain Makers and the BRACE program. It has been a whole world of exposure. For the first time, I am being exposed to the concept of climate smart agriculture. My business is focused on meat processing and meat inspection at Dr. Omar's Meat Shop. That's what we do. And having to know that some of our processes may dangerously affect the climate is something that, triggered a wake-up call. And then AFC didn't just stop at a virtual program. We are here for a study visit to actually see these things being practicalized. It's amazing. And I'll say kudos to African Food Chain Makers. Thank you for wanting to change the narrative of agriculture and the whole, production chain in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. So that's just the short testimonial about some of our participants that participated in the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shock. It was interesting to know that we had over 500 agri-SMEs who were trained through this program, and we currently have the second cohort ongoing. And the beautiful thing is we have the French version also running as well as the English version. So if you prefer to go for the French option, we have that option available for you. And the application for the BRACE program is currently ongoing. You can click the link that is in the comment section to sign up. And then if you have been a participant of the BRACE program, I want you to indicate in the chat box. I want to see those of us who have participated in the BRACE program. I'm going to go to our second program called the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship. And after that, I would invite the panelists for their sessions. Okay.
Leading African Women in The Leading African Women in Food Fellowship Program is an annual 6-month program that identifies outstanding female disruptors, ecosystem enablers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, chefs, trendsetters, and storytellers in the African food ecosystem, and provides them with training, mentorship, visibility, and a community of support to advance their work and enhance their impact.
Such an important program and bringing women change makers from across the continent together.
For the past 6-7 months that we have been with the fellowship, we've had a series of industry experts. These are busy people that took their time to get to know us, to understand what we do.
The fellowship serves as a transformative platform that catalyzes positive change, fostering a resilient and inclusive food ecosystem led by these exceptional female leaders.
We get a lot of applications, apply for this, apply for that, but I have never been in an actual food program where it's just food system.
Before I joined LAF, I was thinking small, but now I'm dreaming big.
Do you know a dynamic woman making an outstanding impact in Africa's agriculture landscape? If so, nominate them today.
You know, in the midst of so many no's, when you see one yes, it's like a little light in the tunnel. So when I was accepted into the LAF program, it was like a big yes, not just a small yes. It was a big yes for me. Yes, someone somewhere appreciates what you're doing.
I think this is the start of something amazing and big, and it has so much potential. And I'm looking forward to more and more cohorts that will build this into an amazing network of women doing amazing things. I see this being a platform for African women to truly find their voice and connect with other women in the same sphere.
For more information on how to nominate, visit our website at www.lof.afchub.org.
Okay, so yes, that is the leading African Women in Food Fellowship, another signature program brought to you by African Food Changemakers. And this program is designed to empower and celebrate women leaders in African food and agriculture sector. So it provides a 6 months training for women who are in different categories. We have chefs, we have entrepreneurs, we have disruptors, we have trendsetters. But if you know any woman who is making an outstanding impact in the food and agricultural landscape, this is that program they need to, be a part of. And you can nominate any of these women for this program. Nomination is currently ongoing. The program was launched last year, and we had the first cohort where we trained about 25 of those women for 6 months, weekly training, and then it accumulated with the closeout event in Tanzania, where they attended the African Food System Forum. So I want you to click on the link, nominate. And if you have also, do we have any of the LAF fellows in the building? If you have participated in LAF, if you were selected, please let us know in the chat box and say, I am a proud LAF fellow. If you're also a participant of BRACE, also type it in the chat box and say, I am a BRACE participant. So one more program I want you to know about, and that is the Scaling Export Program. And after that, I would hand over this virtual mic to the moderator. So permit me to share my screen once again.
Hi, my name is Usman Imana from Friska Farms Limited. We are an agribusiness manufacturer on a mission to providing sustainable and affordable solutions to nutrition, health, and wellness. We do this through 3 lines of products: herbal teas, baby cereal, and a line of snacks. I'm here at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Cairo, Egypt. Displaying with other African entrepreneurs. I'm a member of the SCP under the Africa Food Changemakers, and looking forward to good sales and pushing our products across Africa and beyond Africa.
Vivian from Macaron's dates. We process dates into various delicious products like our date powder, our date biscuits, our date syrup, our date granola. So we're right here at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair 2023 happening in Egypt, Cairo. We're members of the African Food Changemakers, and we're so glad to be a part of that lovely community. We're currently going through the export program. It's been a beautiful insight, learning experience to export Africa to the world.
Okay, so there you have it. Another program we have at African Changemakers is the Scaling Export Program. And the Scaling Export Program is designed to help agripreneurs who have their products across, to help them export their product to not just their country, but to different part of Africa and the world at large. So if you have nutritious, healthy agri-products and you want to explore ways you can export it to the world, then the Scaling Export Program is something you should look forward to. We're currently rounding up the first cohort, and application for the second cohort will be coming up later on this year. So another thing we also do at African Food Change Makers, part of the achievements we've had is we've provided 48 funding opportunity connection to our members. We've also provided, exhibition and event showcase opportunity, that is 115. We've also provided 14 exclusive event access to our members, and then 74 access to market linkages, 3 award nominations, 19 speaking engagements, and 3 training, fellowship, and acceleration programs. So these are some of the things we have provided to the members of African Food Change Makers. And there's a lot more we have in store for you this year. And that's why you should take advantage of this opportunity to become a member of African Food Change Makers. But that is not really why we're here, because we still have to talk about the East African region and how we can build and scale successful and sustainable agribusinesses in East African region. So at this point, I'll be taking backstage and I'll be inviting the moderator for the panel session. You have seen her face before, you have heard her voice before, but she's coming back again. And I want you, with a virtual round of applause in the chat box, please let's make welcome the program's manager at African Food Change Makers, who would introduce our panelists, and we'll get started from there.
Thank you very much again, Anne. It's my pleasure to be moderating the second edition of our Africa Food Change Makers Agrifood Webinar series. And it's also my pleasure to be leading this discussion with these 3 wonderful panelists. I recall looking at this slide and I said, oh, wow, we have wonderful, smiling, pleasant face panelists today. And it's my pleasure to be, introducing them. It's my pleasure to be welcoming them into our webinar. And it's also my pleasure to be moderating the conversation that will be bringing up ideas, insights, and all that we need to start and scale sustainable businesses. So I'll be introducing the first person. So I'd like to introduce Dalitso Mbewe, who is the Executive Director, Consortium of African Youth in Agriculture and Climate Change. Dalitso is an accomplished professional with expertise in economic development and a sound, strong commitment to advancing sustainable growth in Southern Africa. With a track record of success in economic analysis, program design, and strategic leadership as well. Dalitso brings a unique skill set to senior leadership positions. He has worked with prominent organizations focused on economic development, collaborating with institutions such as the African Union Commission to address regional economic challenges. Dalitso holds a bachelor's degree in commerce from Rhodes University. His educational background and certifications in community development and sustainability further enhance his ability to drive positive change and foster economic empowerment. Fluent in English and French, Dalitso effectively engages with diverse stakeholders to facilitate collaborations and promote inclusive economic growth. Let's put a virtual hand clap together for Dalitso Mbewe. Our second panelist is Joyce Atuhaire, Chairperson of the African Women Agribusiness Network Uganda, AWAN. Joyce is a social entrepreneur, an advocate of gender equality and inclusion. With a decade of experience, she has been instrumental in promoting gender inclusivity within the agricultural value chains, ensuring equitable representation for women in the sector. Joyce was Uganda's National Coordinator, Women's Leadership for Financial Inclusion and Economic Recovery Project, implemented across 11 African countries, with support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In Uganda, Joyce successfully coordinated activities that involved engaging government ministries, departments, agencies, financial institutions, and other private actors. Joyce co-founded Athari Ventures Limited, specializing in healthy, nutritious, and chemical-free solar-dried fruits and vegetables for local and export markets. Through Athari Ventures, Joyce has empowered women smallholder farmers in central Uganda by reducing post-harvest losses and facilitating access to reliable formal markets as outgrowers. Additionally, she co-founded Alita Consults Limited, a company involved in the last mile distribution of agricultural productivity enhancing products, including high-yielding seeds, crop protection, and post-harvest handling materials. Joyce holds an MSc in Organizational Leadership from Southeastern University, USA, and a Bachelor of Management Science from Kiambogo University. Last but not the least, we have our third panelist, Jean-Claude Nio Mugabo, co-founder and CEO, Speke Farms. Jean-Claude Nio Mugabo is the co-founder of Speke Farms, as I said, and he leverages the power of technology to connect small-scale farmers to markets, training, and financial advisory services. He has a history of working in digital agriculture, agribusiness, and project management for over 2 years. He is very attached to youth empowerment in agriculture, agri-tech, and modern farming. He is also very skilled in social media communication, e-commerce, entrepreneurship, monitoring, and evaluation with a dedication to social impact in the community. Please welcome our three panelists with a virtual clap as we begin this conversation about building and scaling successful and sustainable agribusinesses in East Africa. Welcome, everyone. I hope my panelists can hear me. I want to confirm that you all can hear me.
We can
Kindly
hear
unmute.
you.
All right, thank you,
I can hear
Joyce,
you.
for that confirmation. Thank you, Dalito, for that confirmation. Jean-Claude, I'm yet to hear your voice, but while we wait for your response, I'd like to start this conversation with a question that was asked in our yesterday's session, because yesterday's theme is very similar to today's theme about building and scaling successful, sustainable agribusinesses. So I want to start by asking, and I want to direct this question to Dalito. What is a sustainable agribusiness?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, for having us on this panel, and thank you very much for your question. I would look at a sustainable agribusiness as one that is homegrown, one that research has been done, and we want to look at impact of ensuring that the business is not a business which is only sort of established to make money or to make profits. Usually will not survive, because businesses do not always succeed with their financials. So I like to look at sustainable agribusinesses as businesses which have impact, and also just to really push away from the idea that agribusiness is only about farming or about primary production. So as was previously introduced by Mr. Daniel Alberts, we need to understand that value chains are not value chains anymore, especially in the agribusiness sector. I like to look at agribusiness value chains more as value webs, meaning anywhere in your value web in agribusiness, you could have, for example, a banker who's providing finance to agricultural sort of enterprises, an app developer who's providing sort of a technology which can help producers or aggregators sort of to bring products together. So for me, I like to look at a sustainable agribusiness as one that has impact, real impact on almost every player in the value chain on value web, which is happening. Because when you have more players in a certain system, you have more interest and more buy-in. So if you have more winners in the system, then you will find that your businesses will last longer and impact more people and result in the results that you wanted in the beginning. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So the keywords I picked from there was impactful and long-lasting. So it's possible to have a successful agribusiness, making money, making profits, but also on the other hand, it might not be sustainable, because if it makes money today, it should be able to continue to make profit and not impact the environment negatively. So thank you very much for that detailed explanation on what a successful and sustainable agribusiness means. So I'd like to move to Joyce, because Joyce, from your profile, I can see you're leading a group of women in the agribusiness sector. So you're not just an entrepreneur in agribusiness, you're also aggregating other women entrepreneurs, supporting them with your community. And so I want to ask you, what sort of challenges, because I understand that from your profile, we also see that you have a successful agribusiness. You have people in your community having such businesses. So what are some challenges that you have gone through, in starting or in scaling your agribusiness, especially East Africa, because of course it's in East Africa? What are the unique challenges you faced in scaling or in starting your agribusiness? Or what are some of the challenges you've been able to see that some of the women in your community go through, especially businesses in East Africa? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I'm happy to be a fellow at African Women in Food Fellowship, one of the pioneers in 2023. I would be cheating myself if I don't talk about that. If you talk about the challenges or gaps, they start from when you are starting the business. Getting the right partner in the business, where the one you share with a vision and daily goals, is one of the biggest challenges before you start. Because many young people are just working for hand to mouth without a big vision. From my personal story, you have seen that I am co-founder at Athari Ventures Limited. We had started when we are 3 founders, but we found along the way that we do not share a vision, all the 3 of us. And then we had to split, and we stayed the 2 of us, and we moved. And the other issue is about getting the right human resource. As you're there, you are starting, it is still a small business, but then you need experienced human resource to be able to run the business. You don't have enough resources to hire, but you need, for example, in the business that involves a bit of technology, some food businesses, you need to make sure that at least people are consuming healthy food. So you need the right human resource. It is difficult to access that human resource, which is experienced and at a small fee. And also working with farmers, because for steady supply in the food chain, you have to really work with farmers and zone them as your own farmers. Because you are producing healthy foods, we are producing food that is supposed to be safe. We are encouraging our farmers to do climate smart agriculture. And then you find the 1,500 farmers we are working with, instead of using organic pesticides, organic fertilizers, they are again coming back to use synthetic fertilizers. So it's also the other challenge that we face in the market there. And there are many challenges. I don't know whether you want me to elaborate on those. Yeah, access to markets, all markets, is very difficult. Access to market is one thing, but access to formal markets is the other thing. Today you are producing and selling, maybe let me talk about smallholder farmers. You are selling today, tomorrow there is no market because there's no agreement that is binding you between the producer and the buyer. If they get someone better, they run away. So it's difficult to access formal markets, and it cuts across East Africa because it's the same in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, market across Africa actually. And again, for someone to really benefit from food systems, it's better you use some technology to maybe add value instead of selling raw materials. And all those things require you to have a bit of technology. Maybe people that are in juices, they need some machines to do that. As who are in solar drying, you need hybrid solar dryers to make sure that you feed the market that you have, as big as it is. So you find that you need at least dryers in different regions where you're producing from because it is bulky. The other thing goes to bad infrastructure, because you find you want your fruits from Western Uganda or maybe Western Kenya to Nairobi or to Kampala when they are fresh, before you can dry them, before you can add value. But the roads are really bad. You find that you're spending a long time in transportation, a long time in movements, and you cannot, by the time you reach, all your produce is spoiled. And after getting the market, then there's no capital to invest in in proper production, in stocking. So as young people getting that access to finance, to be able to finance their businesses is one other thing. And one huge problem that cuts across Africa, especially around women, is lack of the main resource, which is land, because women do not own the land, so they don't take decisions in running sustainable agribusinesses, especially if they are maybe dealing with perennial crops. They don't take decisions on land, so it's hard to decide to put avocado, which fetches more money, and again, it stays there for a long time. So you find those are some of the challenges that SMEs or businesses face around agribusiness. And also there's this one, which is climate change. In the previous speaker, I heard him say that our actions have increased the change that we are facing now. So climate change has affected the running of many agribusinesses in Africa. Yes, that is what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very detailed outline of the challenges. So it's very, very key what you have outlined, because part of the main crux of the discussion is to see how to, identify the barriers, which we all know, but how to scale them, how to climb over those barriers. Very, very key. You pointed out the low capital, the little vision most farmers go into farming with. You pointed out the human resource issue, access to markets, access to technology, bad infrastructure, lack of land, climate shocks. So I'm outlining this because I want to move on to our next panelist to ask, given your, because Jean-Claude is someone who has a strong focus on technology based on your profile, what sort of innovative ideas, what sort of ideas come to mind or have been in your experience, or have you deployed? What sort of solutions have you deployed to some of these issues that Joyce has outlined? The human resource issue, the access to market, all these things. What sort of strategies help to improve productivity, help to improve efficiency, and overcome all these challenges that SMEs face in the agribusiness sector? what comes to mind to you, and can you share some of them, especially in the area of technology? Jean-Claude, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right, thank you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful question. And when it comes to technologies or innovation that can help the farmers, I have been able to see that there is a lot of opportunities for the innovation and the creativity for the people who are in the agriculture sector. Starting from the production, where we need to make sure that we can have good seeds in production, which can increase productivity in the end. But it is not about the seed only. We need also the right fertilizer, right pesticide, and we also need to make sure that we can't rely on climate, since the effect of climate change to the smallholder farmers. So in my work at Spec Farms, we're able to use different technologies, such as adoption of precision farming. Second is about using irrigation systems, where we employ drip irrigation systems to make sure that we can not rely on the season. We want to produce the crops all over the year. And when it comes to doing agriculture, we need to make sure that we can do agribusiness instead of agriculture. And I saw that most of the people, when it comes to doing agribusiness, it is where they lag behind. We need more management. We need to do a business plan. We need to do a due diligence when it comes to access to the market. We need to find the market before putting seeds in the soil. So we do that at Spec Farms to make sure that we can get some of the challenges when we are dealing with the market. We make sure that we have the market before putting the seeds in the soil, and we adopt new techniques. But when it comes to the broad sense of agriculture, I think that most of the farmers need to adopt mechanized agriculture, because when it comes to efficiency, we need to make sure we have more technologies, we have more innovation. We need to increase production per square meter. And through that, we need more technology. We need mechanized agriculture. We need precision agriculture, use of drones, soil analysis. And those are techniques and technologies which can help the people. And when it comes to the sustainability, it is where most of the farmers are lagging behind. And I can say that we can adopt conservation agriculture, where we can conserve our crop, where we can conserve our soil and water to make sure that we grow for the present and the future generation. And at Spec Farms, to find the market, we use the simple approach. We use social media as the platforms where the people can promote the produce. We promote the produce for the farmers. We promote the produce for our product to make sure that we can meet with the market which are available. And I can say that when it comes to building and scaling successful business, we need to make sure that we have more to put in the place. Other speakers were saying about the management, we're saying about the team. You need to make sure that you have a strong team which can help you to be able to survive in the agribusiness environment. Second is about having the skills which are needed to learn agribusiness. The third one is about finance. Sometimes people face access to finance, lack of access to finance, but we can use the finance which are available to make sure that we can scale steps by steps. The last one is about the market, but when you want to do agribusiness, not agriculture, you need to make sure that you have the market, you have the contract farming before doing everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jean-Claude. You really spoke around your sector, precision farming, the technologies. Even yesterday, we heard about some very high-profile AI technology coming into agribusiness. I'm sure a lot of times when you think about agribusiness, you don't think about AI. You wonder where AI has any part to play, but there are so many innovations going on. However, Joyce listed some things that have to do with human resource, things like infrastructure, things like access to land. Those are the things that, first of all, give the initial resource before you begin to think about what you're going to do. You know, you get the resources first to start, and then how you now farm, the practices you now deploy is what you can bring in technology. So you talked about having the right team, having the right skills, having the right finance, having the right market. How can people, agribusinesses, real SMEs, get access to this? So I want to ask Dalitso, you are an expert in community development. How important is community engagement? How important is collaboration? How important is networking with local farmers, with community, building community? How important is it in providing this initial resource, this startup capital, if I might say? It might be startup capital, financial capital, it might just be resource capital, land capital. What is the part that collaborations and community play in being able to access these initial inputs into agribusinesses that set them up for success and set them up for sustainability? Dalitso.
Thank you very much again, Ruth, for your question. Yeah, at the end of the day, I feel that the most important stakeholder in any agricultural value web is your grassroots producer, because without your grassroots producer, then you have no product to then apply technologies to then access markets from. And this is where in most of our development work, we place our focus before we look out to see where you would supply, get your markets, where you get your finance, and where you would get your other resources to undertake the agricultural value chain. So yeah, I mean, our communities are basically the foundation of our agricultural value chains. And when we look at some of the challenges that my co-panelists have spoken about, your challenge of access to land, your challenge of access to market, your challenge of access to technology, and other resources, it's when you manage your communities, or when you're a member of an agricultural business chain community, and you're able to collaborate with other members of that community. So you won't necessarily be producing the same products or undertaking the same processes, but in many cases, some of the challenges faced, such as access to market, would be that a single producer is not able to produce enough crop or enough product, which can then be exported or marketed at scale for you to be able to make a profit, or for you to be able to get returns on your efforts. So it's when you have collaboration, when you bring communities together and you outline synergies where communities can work together, members of communities, then you start to have scale, and you start answering many of these questions and facing many of these challenges. The situation, for example, in Zambia is that we don't really have a problem of access to land, land is abundant, but for us as young farmers or as communities to be able to convert that land into agricultural land, we then need resources, including human resources, which my co-panelists spoke about. We also need the governments to come in. We need policy to start speaking to the needs of the people, to start providing land tenure. It's very, very difficult to get paperwork for your land in a country like Zambia, and I'm sure this is the case in many other African countries I've had experience in. But when you work with communities, especially at the traditional level, I think, and from experience, it has become much easier to access land from traditional leaders, to be able to leverage of outgrower schemes. Currently, at the moment, I am working with one of the communities in northern Zambia to connect an investor to the small farmers, cultural value chains. We are the ones who actually sit on the land. We are the ones for the infrastructure and the policies that are needed. And in order to understand what is the situation around, I think it's very, very important that
Hello, Dalit. So we can barely hear you. I don't know if it's only me, but I think I've heard your network. We're not able to make out what you're saying. We were not able to hear you at the last part of. I think your voice is cracking, but I know. Hello, can you? Okay, from what you said, I also recall a term that you have used that is really interesting, and I've noted it down. You used it again, even though I didn't highlight it the last time I spoke. Value web vis-a-vis value chain. I like that terminology. There's a lot of insight we're going to gain. Actually unpack that a lot, because when we talk about access to land, you've talked about how people can come together and pull in their resources, and they're able to achieve the scale they need because they're able to combine resources. However, there's also this point that Joyce picked out. I want to stop here. Before I ask you, Joyce, I want to just mention, please, the floor is open. The chat box is open for questions. If you have questions, don't lift your hands because we might not have the time to get you to ask your questions, but you can drop it in the chat box and we're monitoring it. We'll pick your questions and we'll bring it forward to the panelists. So if that's okay with us, because of the constraint of time, we'd like to keep it very short and snappy. So if you have your questions, please drop it in the chat box. I'll pick it up from there and bring it up to the panelists. While we wait for questions to drop in the chat box, Joyce, I'd like to ask you, you pointed out something about women lacking access to land. In your experience as a woman leader also, how have you been able to maybe come together to overcome that challenge and help a lot of women gain access to land? Have you been able to do that? And then how were you able to do it? I also have a question for Jean-Claude in, highlighting some of the challenges we spoke and the exact practical way to overcome it. But please let us know, in this area of land, especially in this area of infrastructure, even if it means access to markets, even if it's any of the challenges, how have you been able in your experience and in your practice helped specifically, women specifically overcome some of these challenges? Highlighting the particular one of land, because without land, you can't even start the process of your, production. Yes, agribusiness spans across different areas of the value chain, but without land, if that's a challenge, how can someone overcome it, especially women? Joyce.
Yeah, Ruth, yes, Ruth, thank you very much. We, as African Women Agribusiness Network, we have dealt with this issue of access to land in 3 ways.
That's great.
One, we have not helped women to access land, but we have encouraged women. We have trained women that agribusiness has, the chain has very many levels. There's production, there's trade, there's value addition, there is services. It's a lot along the whole value chain. So we have encouraged women to at least be at any of those points at the value chains if they cannot work with husbands to access land and take decisions on land. The other thing, how we have dealt with it, we have grouped women in different value chains. We have done this in eastern part of Uganda, where we have zoned women, maybe soybean, hearts of avocado, nuts and pumpkins, and we have worked with government to help them grow as a group. So government has helped us with land, and women are able to access land and produce. And in that, we have also solved the issue of markets, because after zoning those farmers, we have worked with off-takers who have signed agreements with them to be able to buy those products. The other way we have dealt with it, we have projects around working with families. So we sensitize both husbands and wives and children about the importance of land and how they can allow women to access that land and use it and take decisions. So we give incentives, families where women are taking decisions on land. We tell them, for example, if the mother is the one leading in groundnuts, we are giving you groundnut seeds, we are giving you inputs, so that we encourage. So many times we have seen families fronting women take decisions on land. And I am sure that with that portion, if we move like that, we shall be able to solve the issue of access to land, especially for women. Yes.
Beautiful. And I know also that those ideas can also put across every other need that you need. Women or whoever can't access the resources they need can. There's something you said which I like. You said grow in a group.
Yes.
Grow as a group. Very, very key. When people begin to think in community, yes, it's easier to scale when you think
Yes.
community. So a question has started to come in, and so I want to bring one up. One of the questions actually aligns with something I wanted to ask Jean-Claude. Someone asked whether our panelists have faced the issue of getting competent, passionate, experienced team members. I know, Joyce, that you pointed out human resource as one of the challenges faced, and we know it cuts across this talent front all over the world now. And Jean-Claude, I want to direct this question to you. You might not have faced it specifically, or you might have. But I want to ask this question in two ways. If you have faced it, you can share with us what you did to overcome the challenge of getting passionate people. And also, as a young person, I also want to you to add, when you're responding to that, how can you convince young people? Because we know when it comes to sustainability in business, the young people coming into the space will actually make a difference when it comes to achieving success, achieving the scale, achieving the sustainability we need. Their minds are required, their energy is required. So what would you say? Have you faced such a challenge to get competent people? And how can you advise some of the participants? How can you advise them? What ways, what strategies can they have to attract the young population into the agribusiness space? What sort of strategies can we deploy to attract young people into that space? Because they would actually make up that passionate, competent, experienced team. They might not all have experience, but the passion, the energy, the competence to run, to come into the businesses and add value, they are going to be invaluable. So what strategies are participants use to attract young people into the agri-business space?
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful question. It's one of the challenges that affect people who want to venture into farming. Sometimes you get a team, but the team, they didn't have commitment for making sure that you can be successful. Maybe I can share with you my experience. We started in 2021 with a team of 4 people, and most of them were young people. And one of them left us after 2 years because he went for finding a job. Yeah, sometimes he went because we weren't able to get a mentor or someone who can mentor us to make sure that we can create a strong team. And according to the challenges, we try to employ different aspects, such as finding mentors or other people can help us to make sure that we can be a strong team. And sometimes when it comes to agriculture, in production, you have to grow crops and you have to wait for the season to rust. And sometimes for the young people like me, we want money. We want a quick money. We want to get money overnight. But when it comes to agriculture, you need to have patience, and you need to make sure that you can wait until maybe the price is very high, or when maybe you have highest produce that you can sell on the market. So for the young people, it's challenging to create a good team But when you are dedicated and when you can find a mentor who can mentor you, you are good to go. And for us, we have mentors. We also consult other people to make sure that we can learn from their experience. We know that there are other people who have been doing what we are doing right now, so we need to learn from them. And the second sub question is about how you can attract young people to be in agriculture. Sometimes you need to show them the opportunities, but also the challenges, so that they can balance these opportunities and these challenges, and how they can come with more preparation. And sometimes when I try to use social media, such as Twitter, formerly X, LinkedIn, and others, I try to show opportunities which are available in agriculture, but also the challenges which are available in agriculture, so that the young people can know that agriculture is not like, it's like any other business. You have to find loss or profit. You need to know the management skills, agribusiness skills, to make sure that you can survive in agriculture. But as I can say that there is a lot of opportunities in agriculture for the people who are ready, who are prepared to make sure that they can do a lot of transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in other words, if you want to attract them, you make it attractive to them. So, and you talked about using social media, that's, something that can be, show, not tell. If you show young people what is the opportunity in agribusinesses and what are the challenges, they're able to see and they're able to make a decision. You also talked about mentoring, attracting them to offering them mentoring. And I would also add that internships are good. You can go when they're still in school, you can pull them in during their holidays so that they are able to experience it beforehand and they're able to go into it. So those are some of the things that we do. We give the opportunity to show young people how profitable and how successful agribusinesses can be, so that they can make the decision. So thank you very much for those responses about bringing in attractive things that will attract the population that we are looking to attract. So someone also asked the question, directed to you. You might have something to say about human resource, being able to attract people or being able to build passionate, competent, experienced team. But I want to particularly ask you a question that one of the panel participants dropped. It says, how is vertical farming technology and soilless farming thriving in East Africa? Is it widely practiced, or are there some challenges of adoption and profitability? So, Dalitso, I would believe that you have some knowledge or some information about that. If you can help some of our participants understand the concept of vertical farming, soilless farming, and the opportunities or the challenges within that space. That's what one of our participants are asking. Dalitso, are you still with us?
Yes, thank you, Ruth. I'm going to attempt to not turn on my video, just so that maybe I can save on bandwidth and
yes, it's okay.
Clear audio. Yeah, so I actually saw the question in the chat, and I responded sort of very at very high level. But the main important thing, the thing that's going to drive you to enter into vertical farming, is because vertical farming is space efficient. So if you don't have a big piece of land or a big area to operate or grow crops on, it's when you would now go into innovative ways, like growing your crops in potato sacks or cement bags, or in a sort of tubes which go upwards rather than horizontally. So you can liken it to the way sort of human civilization developed apartment blocks. So rather than build 100 houses next to each other, you build 100 apartments or flats on top of each other. And that would be the reason that anyone would go into it in the first place. So apart from space efficiency, you also have a lot of resource efficiency. You're able to manage your water much better. You're able to manage your other inputs such as fertilizer and the seeds that you actually use. Another advantage from vertical farming and why it's being practiced in the urban areas of East Africa mostly is that you're also able to somehow manage the climate conditions that your crops are being grown under. Because look, the climate is now one of the hardest things that we have to that we're facing right now and that we can control. We saw what happened in Kenya last year, where we had endless droughts and then El Nino hit and then we had floods. So it's a much more manageable sort of practice. And mostly young people are being attracted to it because it's something that you can do in the city. As my brother Jean-Claude spoke about earlier, how do we make agriculture attractive? And some of the best ways to look at it is that a lot of young people are moving away from the rural areas towards the cities, and if they are going to get involved in some of these agriculture and agribusiness practices, we need to make it practical for them to undertake. So I have visited a few sort of vertical farming projects, particularly in Nairobi, where we spent some time with our main partner, Policy Link. But it's something that's really on the rise, and it's something I would always encourage my fellow young people to get into, because if you're able to grow sort of 10, 15 crops in the comfort of your home, when you do decide to do this at a large scale, you'll be able to understand the processes of these crops. So yeah, I think we if you could email us, I will paste our email into the chat box. We could have further conversations with many of our partners who are more sort of focused on the different type of agricultural practices we undertake, and also just to continue to encourage all of us, especially all of us in this webinar, to not to shy away from collaboration. Sort of the way African Change Makers has reached out to my organization and the other panelists. Please just ensure that you try your best to collaborate, you try your best to consult. It's actually a nice coincidence that my team had visited ILRI, where our keynote speaker, Mr. David Alberts, is the program manager. Yeah, so we were there last week learning a bit about livestock. And yeah, so I love the fact that you're asking sort of real questions, basic questions that we can answer, like with specific questions, specific responses. And we will share the email address so that we can answer in much more detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dalito. Thank you for that insight on vertical farming, which is an attractive way, attractive strategy that young people can grasp, since it can be done in cities. You know, the first time I heard about vertical farming, I was like, never, it can never happen. But you know, innovation has shown us that never say never. Anything can really happen. You can actually grow food vertically and not just horizontally. We have a lot more questions coming in. However, we are constrained with time, and so we will want to wrap up with a closing statement to everyone. But however, I want to read out some questions so that when you're making your closing statement, you can kind of like drop something really that would help the give some sort of answer to the question, because someone is asking about the gaps in collaboration, you know, when it comes to governance. You know, when you say collaborate, people come together, they have agreements. Yeah, there are people that usually fail on the agreements, and it can, you know, limit people's openness to collaborate, people's openness to partner with other people. So how would you advise such a person? What are some of the key lessons, some of the governance strategies they should put in place? And then someone is also saying that I'm hearing a lot, there's a lot of, you know, things about sustainable business. It seems so holistic, it seems so far-fetched. What sort of simple steps can you give? You know, what is the step 1, step 2, step 3 that someone can take to get into that space and begin to function, you know, as a successful, sustainable business? So kindly give us your closing statement considering these 2 things. There's another question about funding, actually. You know, how do we get, it seems like it's questions coming in, but I'm trying as much as possible to balance between the constraint of time and, getting people real answers. So we have the issue of the collaboration challenge where there's no governance. We have the question for simplicity of these steps to come in. And then someone is asking how to get the attention of financial institutions to look into the agribusiness sector so that more funding can go in that space, knowing that sometimes it's very cost effective and sometimes it's like a long-term funding requirement. So give us your final, I'll start with Joyce. So make it like a form of closing statement, but considering these three questions, big challenges our participants are facing from the questions that we've gotten on our chat box. Thank you.
Yes. I can tell you, Ruth, and the participants that are listening in, that building a resilient, sustainable agribusiness is not an easy journey. But you can deal with it when you are resilient yourself. And again, for you to access the scarce resources and capital, you need to leverage on the available resource centers in our governments, like to be able, because it is again like difficult to access certifications, funding when you're just on your own. But you can work with resource centers, like research centers in the country, to be able to develop a product. That product can be certified and you are able to access either finance or certification within the premises of the government. So I urge everybody, the young people, the women, and the men, that do not fear to face the world. It's difficult, but we can face it with resilience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Claude.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll try to say that when it comes to building and scaling the business to be successful, you need more resources, you need more energy. You need to make sure that you go into agriculture as agribusiness. When it comes to business, you have different aspects that you have to employ so that you can be successful. And for the people who want to make sure that they can be successful, they need to know that it takes time. It takes time to make sure that those people who are in agribusiness can be successful, considering different challenges like climate change or other aspects or other factors such as market access. But when you are prepared, there is a lot of opportunities and a lot of improvement. And I would like to let anyone who is in this webinar to know that when you are very prepared, there is a lot of opportunities in agriculture. Agriculture is one of sector where you can do whatever you want to do. And when you become successful, you can move forward. So I'll try everybody to, first of all, learn and get access to skills, finance, and market. When you get those three things, you can be successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Calypso. Your final statements, considering the challenge of governance in collaboration, the challenge of funding from financial institutions, and the simple steps participants need to take to become successful and sustainable businesses.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And thank you to my fellow panelists. I think you've made it very easy. I don't have to say much. I will start with finance. I can tell you that yes, if you look at the statistics, it's only about 3% to 14% of commercial banks that are investing in sub-Saharan Africa. So the numbers are very low, considering the fact that sort of agriculture is the biggest employer and sometimes the biggest industry in many African countries. And what is very important is I ask young people many times that, what do you do on your phone or when you're accessing the internet, because young people, we spend almost half an hour of every day, every hour in our day, we spend about a half an hour looking at our phones, our devices. What are you doing there? So when it comes to finance, there are literally millions of opportunities to finance your business, your agribusiness, available on the internet. And if we really just took the time to explore some of these opportunities, we will find that it's not easy to access some of these funds. But first of all, you need to find what you're looking for before you can know how to unlock it. So for access to finance, I would just encourage our friends in the agribusiness sector to do a lot more research to find out some of these opportunities. All you would have to do in your Google search is finance for agriculture, and there are so many opportunities which come out country by country, after which it's going to take me to my next point of collaboration and governance. So you may be very, very good at keeping bees, but you may not be good at drawing up a business plan. And if you try to do everything yourself in an agribusiness, then the likelihood is that you will fail. So I would like to encourage, as I said in my last point, to understand the resources that we have at hand. In many situations, we do know someone who's good at accounts and someone who's good at the numbers. And it's very, very important that we leverage off the skills that our colleagues have to be able to build sustainable businesses, which brings me back to my last point. I really feel that a sustainable business is one that is aware of all the resources around it, and that is led by what I would call a sustainable person. So in closing, they say that the most powerful fertilizer are the soles of a farmer's boots, which means if you're going to run a sustainable agribusiness, whether it's the production farm or whether you make business plans for young farming people, you yourself as the leader of the business needs to make sure that you carry your weight, you carry yourself, and you design systems which you can apply to your business, where you're able to actually predict and measure what the outcomes will be based on the resources you allocate. And having said that, I would like to thank you very much for inviting us to this panel, and I hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dalitso. Thank you, Jean-Claude. Thank you, Joyce. Your insights were really valuable. I can see the comments from the section. Everybody is saying great insights from the panelists. Thank you very much for sharing. So some of the key points we need to notice: have long-term vision. Sustainability requires looking beyond just yourself to the future, to know that whatever you're doing today will not affect people in the future or will last beyond your own generation. So long-term vision. When you lack knowledge, you do your research, you find out there's so much information there, so it's important to research. Another key point that came out is preparation. Be prepared. Prepare yourself, equip yourself with all the tools you need, all the knowledge you need. Leverage the things that are available. There are funds available, there are communities available, there are resources available. In Africa Food Chain Makers, we have a lot of resources. We have a hub. Anne will still speak about it, so I'm not say much on that. And then there's a final word to understand is resilience. You need to be resilient because the challenges are many, but a resilient person will always overcome them. But to actually start and scale a sustainable agribusiness, you need to be sustainable yourself. Just like Dalitso said, the most powerful, I pointed out that your quote, interesting, beautiful. The most powerful fertilizer are the soles of the farmer's boots. Amazing. So we can't have successful, sustainable agribusinesses without successful and sustainable people. Amazing insights from this panel. I want to thank you all for your insights, for your comments, for your solutions. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for accepting to make this webinar such an insightful session. And I would like the participants to please put your hands together for this bright and interesting panel that we have today. As and to wrap up and give closing announcements that will end our webinar for today. Thank you for coming on board. We really appreciate you, our panelists. We really appreciate you, our participants. Thank you. Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to, a wrap up of the panel session with the East African panelists. Thank you so much, Ruth, for, navigating the conversation and seeing that our panelists shared a lot of insight. Thank you, Delitso. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Joyce. It has been an insightful and engaging and truly enlightening session. Thank you so much. So, participants, I can see your appreciation in the chat box. In appreciation, the way we do the appreciation is tell us one key thing. What is that key point, that striking point that you gain from the conversation? A lot has been shared, from leveraging technology to collaboration to being sustainable, utilizing resources. Let me know what stood out for you in the chat box. Yes, Sam Kolaba is saying collaboration, and that's why we have African Food Change Makers, because it is a community where agripreneurs across Africa can come together, network. It's that community, so you don't have to work in silos. You don't have to work in isolation. You need to be connected to that community of like minds, where you can have access to funding opportunities. You can have access to programs that would help you, knowledgeable programs that would help you scale your businesses. We are here for you at African Food Change Makers. And if you're not yet a member of African Food Change Makers, I don't know what you're waiting for, though. I think this is the right time for you to jump in and become a member of African Food Change Makers. So once again, thank you so much to our panelists. And at this point, I want to share some insights into some of the programs we have that are currently ongoing that you can take advantage of to scale your business, scale your visibility, and also build sustainable businesses. When we started, I talked about the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, which is an ambitious program that is designed to help women. Joyce was talking, and Joyce kept highlighting the challenges women face in agriculture. And we know that women contribute to the ecosystem, but most times they don't get the visibility, they don't get the recognition, they don't get the applause that they need. And this program has been specially curated for women like this. So if you know any woman within 25 to 40 years who is making resounding, outstanding contribution to the food ecosystem, please go ahead, click on the link in the chat box and nominate that woman. And also let you know that Joyce here, who is one of our panelists, was also part of the first cohort of the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship. Yes, she was part of the first cohort, and we have done. She can testify to the benefits of the fellowship. So please go ahead and nominate a woman that you know. So it's not just women, men, you can also nominate women that you know. Okay. And then the next program is Brace. Brace is building resilience against climate and environmental shock. I saw a comment that said, I went through the Brace program and I must tell you, it was really insightful. So we've got a lot of amazing feedback for the Brace program. And I want to encourage you, if you want to learn how to apply climate smart practices to your business, you want to know how to leverage tech, what are the methods you can use to build sustainable businesses that is eco-friendly and it's not affecting the climate, then you need to sign up for the Brace program. And then the grandmaster of them all is becoming a member of African Food Change Makers, because these programs are just offshoots. These are some of the, I'll call them the babies of AFC, but the mother of them all is being a member of African Food Change Makers. Being a member of African Food Change Makers gives you access to community, it gives you access to learning opportunities, it gives you access to visibility and support and data. So every week we curate funding opportunities, event opportunities, networking opportunities, educational opportunities, where events, and then training opportunities for agripreneurs across Africa. And we send these updates to our members. So if you're not a member, you're missing out of all these amazing opportunities that we bring your way. So right now, click on the link in the chat box and apply to be a member. Everything is absolutely free. You're not paying anything. So I want you to type in the chat box. Okay, I can see Mustafa. Mustafa said, I am interested in becoming a member of AFC. Yes, Mustafa, click on that link to become a member. Who else is taking that action right now to sign up to become a member of AFC? I want you to type in the chat box and say, I am taking action right away. Okay, so thank you very much. Before you go, we have the closing remark by our programs manager at African Food Change Makers. Roots, please, we want to bring you up again for the closing remark, and then we will do one final thing. Please don't leave yet. I can see some persons. Don't leave. We always save the best for the last. I will not tell you what we have, but please don't leave. All right, so over to you, Roots.
Okay, so I just want to say, can we all hear me? I just want
Yes,
to
we can.
say that, okay, thank you very much for all for joining. This is our day 2 of our webinar series, and I'm loving the energy that is in the crowd. These participants are really dishing out the comments, and we are really amazed and honored to have you with us today. All the advantages, all the opportunities that have been shared, I'm encouraging you to take advantage of them, leverage on them. We are hearing a lot of people even complaining about the limitations and the restrictions, but we want you to know that if there's a restriction in one program, there's no restriction in another program. So you can take advantage of all our programs. You can come on our hub, and on our hub, you get all that you need, the collaboration you need, the leverage you need, the funding opportunities you need to get. You have it, you can find it in our hub. So we're encouraging you to take advantage of it. And everything you've heard from the panelists, from the keynote speakers, ensure that as you have made those notes, begin to put them to practice. We can't have agribusinesses that are successful and sustainable without people like you and I putting our hands down and ensuring that we resiliently continue to do the things that we know to do. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you all in another edition if you can join us. And I'll be handing over to Anne to do the final activities that will close us out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Roots. And like I said, I can see everyone taking action. Well done to everyone clicking the link and signing up to become a member. You have a lot in store for you. Tomorrow, the Agri-Food webinar series continues, but tomorrow we are focusing on the South African region, and we'll be looking at the future of food in Southern Africa, unlocking opportunities for global impact. You can also be a part of it if you have the time. It is taking place at 4 p.m. South African time and then 3 p.m. West African time. So just align your schedule, and if it permits you, please be a part of it. And if you have found value from today's session, share the link to sign up to any agripreneur you know who is in Southern Africa. Tell them there's something huge AFC is doing and is bringing to their doorstep absolutely for free. Okay, so you can also connect with us on social media at African Food Change Makers on Instagram, LinkedIn, and on Facebook. Okay, and then subscribe to our newsletter. Once you sign up to become a member, subscribe to our newsletter, and then we have so many other ways you can benefit from us. So right now you have seen my face, you have seen the face of Roots, you have seen the faces of our panelists and the keynote speaker. Right now, we want to see your beautiful faces and your smile. So put on a smile, turn on your camera as we take our group photograph to end today's session. And one thing you're going to do, so I want you to take screenshots of the pictures and then share your experience. I want to say a big shout out to those persons who shared their experience yesterday and they tagged us, we have reposted. So we want you to share your experience about what you learned today from our East African panelists and then tag us at African Food Change Makers. I can see some persons turning on their camera. Tariq, I see your camera. I see Labaran. I see African Food Change Makers. Please, can we turn on our cameras? Make sure you're smiling. We want to see your faces. Please turn on your cameras, put on a smile, and take a screenshot. Okay, who else is turning on the camera? Okay, I can see Mildred. I see Annette. Thank you so much. Evans, Okot, I see you. Zawadi, thank you so much. I see Adana. So let's keep turning on the cameras. Smile, take a screenshot, and tag us at African Food Change Makers. You can't miss it. It's on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Twitter, it is the AFC underscore. The AFC underscore. The AFC underscore hub. I think so. So please tag us. We want to see that. take a screenshot. I want to see you taking screenshot. Team members, please, let's do well to take a screenshot. So tag us Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. On Twitter, it is _AFC Hub. _AFC Hub. All right, I see Bernard. Bernard, thank you so much. I see Safianu. I see Annette. Okay, iPad 5. Your name is not there. So if you've taken screenshots, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. We want you to know that you can join us tomorrow again. And if you have the time, and also share the link to your friends and those in the Southern African region. Once again, thank you for being a part of the African Food Changemakers Agri-Food Webinar Series, the East African edition. Do well to take advantage of every opportunity that have been shared today, from the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship to the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shock Program, and then becoming a member of African Food Changemakers. We're constantly thinking of you and how we can empower you to build resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that nourish Africa and the world at large. Thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Anne Obize. See you tomorrow if you can, and see you in our membership hub. Bye.